On the Channel 3 News this morning, Waterbury voters shoot down a plan to rebuild at the damaged state office complex. Relentless rains, summer storms take their toll on businesses.
And I'm Steve Otari, live at the state's Emergency Operations Center, where they're preparing for heavy rains and potential flooding that could make for a messy morning commute.
From WCAX, Vermont's most trusted news source, this is the Channel 3 News.
Good morning. It's 5 o'clock. I'm Molly Smith.
And I'm Gary Sadowski. And yep, sure enough, the rain is back, started up overnight, and it is going to come down heavy in parts during the day today, especially during the morning. Let's check outside right now if we can, Skywatch 3, and see if we can see anything out there. Yeah, it's still pretty dark out there, but you can see the rain is coming down at a pretty good clip now here in the Champlain Valley. 61 is our current temperature. Now, here's how it's going to work today. We're looking at a batch of heavy rain coming through during the early morning hours, and tapering off a little bit, on and off rain throughout the day. Possible thunderstorms, especially down to the south. Highs will be in the low to mid 70s. We'll have the latest on where the heaviest of the rain is right now and where it's going to be coming up in a few minutes.
All eyes on that storm for sure this morning. Thanks a lot, Gary. Well, we're bracing for this next round of potentially damaging storms to hit our region starting this morning. Steve is live at the Emergency Management Headquarters in Waterbury. Steve, what are crews there most concerned about right now?
Yeah, good morning to you, Molly. There's really two waves of concern today. The first and most immediate is what's going to happen in the next couple hours. Even more flooding, Molly.
All right, Steve, we're definitely keeping an eye on all of that. Thanks so much, and we'll check in back with you for another update in a little bit. Voters in Waterbury said no to a $5 million plan to revamp and rebuild pieces of the waterlogged state office complex. The final numbers show 570 for the project and 742 against. Waterbury officials wanted to build a new home for town offices, the library and the Historical Society, and possibly the police department. Supporters called the vote a referendum on Waterbury's recovery. Opponents said the proposal was rushed and would add debt to the community that cannot afford it. A Rutland man will be spending weekends behind bars for his role in a Route 4 crash that killed a father and his 10-year-old son. 26-year-old Joshua Ouimet pleaded guilty to 2 counts of gross negligent operation. State police concluded that Ouimet may have turned around to check on his baby in the back seat, causing the 2011 crash that killed 2 and seriously injured another. The judge sympathized with Ouimet, saying momentary distractions is something that many drivers have experienced, though the consequences are not usually as tragic. Ouimet will spend 30 days in jail, which he will serve on the weekends, followed by 3 years probation. He cannot drive for the next 2 years. Well, Gary's here now. Gary, we're already seeing the rain come down, but we're expecting more powerful storms as the day continues.
Yeah, it's we could see some thunderstorms, and that's mainly in our southern areas, but it's the batch of heavy rain that's actually coming through right now.
Welcome back, everybody. The rain has started this morning, and there's no sign it's going to stop yet, Gary.
No, really not. And it's not like it's going to pour every second of every day for the next week or so. We're going to see some breaks in it, but it looks like the heaviest batch is coming out there actually right now. And thunderstorms, and here comes the 4th of July, and it's not looking a whole lot better. In fact, it's going to be a little warmer and more humid as well. So, boy, we really desperately need to dry out. It's just not in the cards.
I don't know that I really remember a 4th of July without a little bit of rain since I've lived in Vermont.
But nothing like this leading up to it. Boy.
I know. It sure is soggy out there. All right, Gary, we'll keep an eye on it. Thanks for keeping us updated. Coming up, a grand jury hands down dozens of indictments for the suspected Boston Marathon bomber. And where is the new route for the proposed Northern Pass project? Find out next. A rare sight in the Capitol on Thursday as Democrats and Republican senators came together, found compromises, and passed an immigration reform bill. But as Tara Mergener tells us, the bill still has a long way to go before it hits the president's desk.
The bill as amended is passed.
Dzhokhar Tsarnaev is facing 30 counts of federal charges for allegedly setting off the bombs at the Boston Marathon finish line. Federal prosecutors announced Thursday the 20-year-old is facing life in prison and possibly the death penalty. He's charged in the killing of 4 people and the maiming and wounding of hundreds more. Among these charges are conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction, to bomb a place of public use, and maliciously destroy property. A change of course for the Northern Pass project in New Hampshire's North Country. The Powerline project will now avoid Colebrook, Columbia, and Stratford altogether. Power lines would be buried under a section crossing Route 3 in Pittsburgh and 7.5 miles through portions of towns and state roads in Stewartstown and Clarksville. Critics worried about the project's impact on the region. The 187-mile power line aims to move power from Canada to metro areas along the East Coast. Up next, we get a look at some of the images captured in one of the soggiest weeks we've seen. We share some of our favorites from our Facebook page next in Web Watch. We're bracing for yet another round of potentially damaging storms in our region. Not exactly new news this week, but we decided to share some of the images sent in from our viewers, and through the wonders of technology, Steve is joining us. Steve, we've really seen some great pictures from our viewers.
Yeah, especially on Tuesday when that first round of really strong storms hit, we got some great photos sent in. We always appreciate it when people do send along photos and videos, to all our social media pages or via email too, but of course only do it when it's safe to do so. We don't want people driving through a rainstorm sending us photos. But let's take a look at some of the best ones we got from Tuesday's storm. This first one is from Susan Tobin. It's a tree down near her home on Route 15. Great photo there. The next one comes from Jessica Chanat. This was a photo passed along a lot on the web. This is right past French Hill on I-89. You can see the water pouring down, almost like a waterfall, Molly.
It really is. The water was very impressive, but also impressive was just watching these storms approach. Chris Gagne got this image on Tuesday of the storm approaching over St. Albans, that dark cloud. Really, really impressive, scary as well. And Josh Gagne, not sure if they're related, got this picture up next. It's one of those fancy iPhone panorama shots in St. Albans. Look at that cloud. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And maybe I can get a picture of my co-anchor through the screen. Look at that, Steve. Cool stuff. But we love the pictures. Send them in, just not while you're driving, right? Thursday was National HIV Testing Day. The CDC recommends everyone get tested. In Vermont, health officials believe 100 people have HIV and don't know it. And as Kristen Kelly reports, experts say with advances in drug treatments, catching the disease early can help stop its spread.
I feel great today.
Testing involves a mouth swab, and results are available about 20 minutes later. The test is free at Vermont Cares. We've got a link to more on that in our info center at WCAX.com. Coming up next, to look at some of today's top stories, including a meth bust in St. Albans. Stay with us. The rain has started, and Gary's here with an update. Where are we seeing the strongest storms right now?
Well, we have been seeing the heaviest of the rains in our central and southern areas now.
Well, we are keeping a close eye on this forecast and also how the state plans to respond as these storms hit. Steve is live at the Emergency Management Headquarters in Waterbury this morning. Hi, Steve.
Good morning once again, Molly. The focus here at the Operations Center is really on the next couple of hours. That's when the heaviest flooding rains are expected to hit Vermont, New York, this whole area.
All right, thanks, Steve. We definitely know how damaging that water can be, and we will check in with you for another update from the command center in just a little bit. Multiple law enforcement agencies were called to a home in St. Albans Thursday afternoon for a suspected meth lab. Deanna LeBlanc was on the scene. We have a new scam warning to tell you about this morning, this time con artists claiming to be cops. Police say the scammers are targeting elderly victims in Winooski, telling them their relatives are in police custody and they need money wired to an international location to ensure their release. Winooski police are now investigating. Gary's up next with your latest forecast, and still to come, a Vermont farmer paying it forward, a unique lending program aimed at funding Vermont's farming future. Heavy rain has started to come down across the state, and we are keeping an eye on when you need to know about. Gary, when are we going to see these storms sweep over in the most damaging times?
Really over the next couple of hours. Even as I was just talking about that, we can hear on our roof the rain really starting to come down hard here.
It's going to be a long day, and you said it's a slow-moving storm, which is the scary part.
Right. The heaviest of it is moving fairly quickly, but still, we're going to be stuck in this pattern for a
Lingering
while.
showers. All right, thanks, Gary. We'll get an update coming up in a little bit. And next, we're back with Steve at the Emergency Management Command Center. Find out how state officials are preparing to tackle this storm next. The Red Sox are welcoming red-hot Toronto to Fenway Park, and the Celtics set to make a blockbuster move. We've got the details in your sports wrap. If you thought Coach Doc Rivers leaving for LA was big news, it was just the beginning of the Celtics remodeling phase. Dylan Scott's got the details in our sports wrap. Big changes for the Celtics team, for Boston's fans. Unfortunately, not a lot of big changes in our forecast.
No.
Rain, more rain.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, you know, the old broken record. Rain throughout the day with some thunderstorms. Highs will be in the low to mid 70s. Got to watch out for flooded roads and things like that.
And with these big storms, we often rely on technology to bring us the latest and greatest, but the good old roof right here at Channel 3 is a great signifier that it's
it really is.
raining.
It's very loud up there right now.
It sure is. All right, thanks, Gary. We'll get another update coming up in just a little bit. And next, from tragedy to opportunity, a Vermont farmer paying his good fortune forward after his farm suffered a loss of its own. Donations rolled in to Pete's Greens after fire destroyed the business. Now Pete Johnson is giving back. He created a revolving loan program called the Vermont Farm Fund. Aaron Locker has made a living on this land for the last 5 years. He leases it from the Vermont Food Bank and pays his rent with vegetables. But when Tropical Storm Irene hit, he couldn't keep up his end of the deal. During the peak of the storm, the water rose to this level here in Warren. And while it only lasted for about an hour, when the water receded, it took everything with it.
You lose that fertile layer, and things just don't really grow. Certainly the same way. And there was also places that literally washed away 12 feet down. I mean, like, it was just gone. It was in this Sugarbush snowbanking pond, which is on the other side of the river.
The water washed away his soil, and some of his land fell into the river. He needed help fast, so he turned to the Vermont Farm Fund, created by Pete Johnson.
Because they gave me a loan on almost a handshake in a matter of days, and it was interest-free.
It's not actually literally a handshake. We keep it as simple as possible. We do have some forms you have to fill out.
The Center for an Agricultural Economy helps oversee this fund. They describe it as community-based lending. No collateral required, just financial statements and trust that the borrowers will live up to their end of the deal. So far, all but one have kept that promise.
To have somebody like Pete's Greens come forward and very enthusiastically say, here's the money, let's put this together, let's make this simple, let's make it quick, let's make it helpful, was a very exciting project to be a part of.
Was that something that you thought of, or did someone approach you about doing that?
No, I thought of it out of just this overwhelming sense of, partly guilt and partly just like all this money being given to us and not feeling comfortable just keeping it.
Pete's Greens seeded the fund with $40,000 of donations. Other agencies and individuals have also given money to the fund. So far, $190,000 have been loaned out to 22 different borrowers.
Our soils needed a lot of work, and so initially it allowed us to buy basically a big pile of manure and rock dust and continue like our soil building here. So that was probably about half of it, and a lot of it just went towards cash flow.
As farmers transition out of the post-Irene emergency state, the Farm Fund continues on its intended path of funding innovative ideas for increasing local food output in Vermont.
Part of why we've kept it a fairly loose definition is that we really want the farmers to come to us and show us what it is that they're doing that's innovative.
Locker says his farm is 80% recovered from Irene, and this September, the loan will be fully repaid. Now that borrowed money will go to another farmer in need. He says he isn't jealous of the attention Pete Johnson's farm saw when they lost the barn to a fire 2 years ago. He says that's what Vermonters do. They take care of their own.
He's kind of like the poster boy for the new Vermont agriculture, and so he's really important that way. He's kind of a pioneer.
We're growing up and we're really making strides here in this state, and we're being recognized by everybody for doing that, and we're creating good jobs.
Johnson plans to put all $160,000 donated to him into this fund eventually. So is it sitting in a nest egg right now and slowly contributing? How does that work?
It doesn't exist right now.
You've spent it.
No. Oh yeah, we definitely spent it, and as we are earning money, we're contributing back into the farm fund.
A revolving door of donations to fund the future of farming in Vermont. There are 2 loan programs available through the Vermont Farm Fund: no interest emergency loans and innovative loans, which come with a 3% interest rate. Most people are required to pay that money back within 2 years of borrowing. Well, all eyes on the storm this morning. Gary, what are we looking at?
Yeah. All ears on the storm, too. We can hear it really coming down on our roof, our audible rain gauge there, and it is pouring here in the Burlington area. The heaviest of the bands